story. How did you go from working in SEO to building a content and lifestyle brand as a digital nomad?
Yeah, so it all started when I graduated college and I was struggling to find work. So I would drive to job interviews and I wouldn't get the job. And it was frustrating because you need money to get gas to drive to these jobs. But if these jobs don't hire you, then you're losing money. So I figured out if I'm going to survive in this new age, I should be working remote online. So I was researching different types of business models, and I got very heavy into the idea of Shopify drop shipping and Amazon FBA. I quickly realized that was a bloodbath in a very saturated market, super competitive. People make a lot of money, they still can, but it's difficult. I was watching a seminar on how to get traffic without paying for ads because if you don't have a job, you don't have the capital to pay for these ads. And I came across SEO. And that was fascinating to me because it combined a lot of the stuff I studied in school, graphic design, website development, that sort of thing, social media. And I realized this is a skill that I could learn very fast and could pay the bills.
Nice. Okay, really interesting. And so you've helped clients in music, law, SaaS, and stuff, those different industries. Which industry would you say you had the best results with, and why?
Each industry is different in their own way. I would say the best results was SaaS, and that's because they had the most funding, and so one interesting thing about anything in SaaS and AI, if you do SEO, I don't know if you know what domain rating is, but it's basically like the credit score of a website. SaaS websites almost always have high domain ratings before the campaign even starts. So it's very easy to build on that. Law is very profitable, but it's extremely competitive. And most of the attorneys I worked with are in the Los Angeles area, which is, I don't know if it's there or New York, but those are the two most competitive markets in the world for law. So those are difficult. And then with music, I had one music producer that I worked with, and we got results basically out the gate, mainly through content, just purely content. Also, he had a personal brand that he built throughout the years, so that helped. We built on top of that. Oh, e-commerce though, I will say that probably drove the most revenue out of all the clients I've ever had.
Okay, e-commerce, but for which product specifically?
Dude, supplements,
yeah,
pet food, hair care, skin care, jewelry, that sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. Thanks. And so you recently started targeting AI startups. Why AI?
Yeah, so everything is moving towards AI. There's a lot of jobs that are just going to be wiped off of the job market. So investing in the companies that are building the solutions, I think, is the move. Also, very similar to the SaaS companies that I've worked with, they're heavily funded, which means they have budget. And when you have a budget with SEO, that just gives you a lot more runway. The higher the budget, the higher the likelihood of campaign success. And I don't know why, but they almost always start off with high domain ratings right out the gate. So I love that. It makes my job a lot easier.
Fantastic. And how do you pitch like SEO to technical founders who often they don't even think that they need it?
Well, it's the same pitch that you would give to anyone in any industry. It's your competitors are doing it. So you don't have to do this, but they are. And if you want to compete with them, you got to do what they're doing.
Okay. And would you say that SEO is dead in the age of ChatGPT and Perplexity and all these other search language, large language models?
It's not dead, but it's just getting much harder. If you're not ranking, so traditional SEO is going to die. Everything's moving towards just these chat GPT type interfaces. Even Google. I've been watching the updates in the SEO industry. All the big SEO influencers are making videos right now on how Google is trying to kind of divorce themselves from publishers. They want to keep everything, they want to keep all the information within the Google ecosphere. They'll pull the most relevant information from the most relevant websites. Like if you're looking for a product review, like 10 best running shoes, and then it'll take like this article, this article, this article, which reviews running shoes, and like mash them all together and create one meta article, I guess, with um, all the running shoes with the best reviews, and it'll pull data from maybe even the branded websites like Nike, and it would show the amount of reviews, the prices, and whatnot. So it's all moving towards that. And but the good news is that traditional SEO ranking signals, those are still relevant. So if you're not ranking in Google, if you wouldn't be ranking in Google traditionally, you probably wouldn't even be showing up in those Google AI overviews or Chat GPT results. So that part is much more hopeful, but I would say the future of SEO is about to change forever.
How are you using AI in your own workflow today?
Right now, I'm manually Frankensteining 3 different AI softwares together. The thing is, since SEO is always changing, the algorithm's always changing, there's a workflow I would like to automate, but it's a little bit complicated. And I don't have the resources to do that at this moment. But in the future, I do have a vision on a third-party system which integrates AI agents that each have their own individual task that goes back to that third-party system, which is integrated into the website, so we could deploy content at the click of a button.
Nice.
That would be the goal.
Fantastic. And will personal brands matter more or less in an AI-driven world, in your opinion?
Personal brands, I think, are the last bastion of hope in this AI landscape, because we don't know what's real and we don't know what's fake. We hear personal brand a lot, like it's a buzzword or a keyword, but the reality is personal brands is the last relationship humans are going to have with each other. If you're not known by a medium to large audience, people aren't going to know if you're even real or not. I don't know if you've seen some of the AI videos that have been created. There was one with Will Smith where he's eating spaghetti that came out a few years ago, and that was already really good. Years later, it has the quality of those types of videos have exponentially increased. I saw a trailer for a movie the other day about like a future world where the humans and the robots have like integrated. It's kind of like Terminator almost, and they AI Denzel Washington's son, the dude who played the main character in Tenet. And I was like, this is a real movie. And then I found out it was not. It was completely AI generated. So it's kind of scary how realistic things are getting. I even saw a trailer for a girl doing like a vlog at Jurassic Park with actual dinosaurs. She took her little brother. It was like an actual amusement park. There's a tour guide and everything. It was a corny tour guide, like, but it was realistic, and I was just blown away. So if you don't have a personal brand, for all you know, you are AI generated. For all you know, I'm not even real.
Interesting. So personal brand is the only way to basically create a long-lasting AI-proof business.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't get it done now, in 2 to 3 years from now, we won't even know if your personal brand is AI. Okay, I don't know if this is appropriate for this type of podcast, but I saw a statistic that 2 of the 10 top OnlyFans creators are AIs run by men. That's pretty scary.
Okay. So it's get in now, prove that you're a real person before everyone's skeptical in the future.
Yeah, and that is why I think these lifestyle brands are going to be so important, because people, the thing is about humans, our bodies can't be automated. We literally have skin in the game. Maybe they'll get Terminator grade robots at some point, but humans crave real connection and real experiences. So these lifestyle brands, these events, that sort of thing, relationships, the trust, the accountability that you can have with a human, because you can't really hold a robot accountable. That's going to be everything. So I have a bunch of questions and interested in learning about Tech Roundtable. Starting off, what exactly is it and who is it for?
Okay, so TechRountable is a done-for-you digital events service. It's for companies that already are selling. It's for companies that already have a lot of contacts in their CRM. They already have a mailing list, but they're looking for a way to boost their pipeline from top of funnel, mid funnel, and bottom of funnel. So yeah, basically it's for that specific, what we call an ideal client profile. It's for that ICP, because I've seen that recurring digital events can absolutely transform your sales process if done correctly.
Interesting. So out of curiosity, what's the main problem you solve for your clients?
So the main problem is kind of unresponsive contacts. Okay, so whether that's, just as an example, it could be top of funnel, so you're using a lead magnet. Maybe some of your lead magnets aren't converting very well, so it could be like a free ebook or some content. We found that interactive events are one of the best lead magnets for generating demand. Mid-funnel, you have to follow up with contacts a lot, especially with high-ticket sales. Maybe you have a complex deal. You have to follow up with people a lot. How do you follow up with them? Do you just keep on saying, hey, bye? No, you have to find creative ways. We found that recurring digital events are some of the best ways to keep those potential buyers engaged, mid-funnel. And then bottom of funnel for conversion, sometimes the buyer just doesn't have cash available. They're waiting to convert in the future. How do you keep them not going to a competitor in that period while you're waiting, and how do you push them over the line when they receive the money and the funds? So and then also clients, just to be clear, like how do you upsell existing clients on new features? How do you upsell, or even customer success to some extent? How do you make sure that current clients are kind of included in the conversation about new features, about new offers that you may have? So the whole point, because it's a recurring digital event, it helps across the entire customer journey.
It's a lot, man. So how did the idea of Tech Roundtable come about? Were you doing this type of stuff yourself?
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of background, I come from being like a freelance consultant, even having a language school, to working online, doing a lot of lead gen. I have a lead gen agency. I also have a lead gen software. So throughout all of this period, let's say the last 13 years, I've always used events, both in person and digital. I've always used events in my marketing strategy, but I've never really packaged it together and created like just a service that focuses on events and events only. It's always been kind of an add-on. And especially going online, like post 2020, like where almost everything I do is online.
Yeah.
I really was able to perfect running online events, and I was able to do, through trial and error, see what works and what doesn't. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. Is just I just use them with my clients, use them for my own business, and over time I just discovered what worked and what doesn't work. And when they work incredibly well. They're some of the most effective things that you can do for your business.
I bet there was a lot of that going on in 2020, 2021. So I get my question for you is when it comes to your roundtables, what makes them different from the other typical webinars or online events that were going on at the time, and maybe how's that evolved?
Great question. So the key difference with the events that I produce and the ones that my clients produce is they are interactive. That means that a lot of companies, they'll put on a webinar, a live webinar, where they'll get on screen, like on Zoom or whatever the platform is, and they will just present with no audience interaction, no participation. So what's the problem with that? Why come to a live event if I can just watch the recording afterwards? It's actually better. It's more convenient for me. I can watch it in 2x speed. I can get the information I need. Why am I, carving out in my calendar an hour or an hour and a half to come to a live event? There has to be some interactivity. There has to be a reason for me to actually show up. And that's the difference with our events. We always make sure that there is a really good reason for the person to show up, whether it be networking, getting Q&A and access to experts, whether it be maybe a promotional, like whoever comes to the call has the ability to get discounts or whatever it is. So there's a whole bunch of things, and I try to put as many of them into the event as possible. So it's like anyone who's on the call, they are receiving value for being there live and participating.
Nice. Yeah. When I was working for a remote company, they gave us like $5 Uber Eats gift cards if we showed up to certain webinars. So I can imagine you getting creative like that. So what can you walk us through a typical session at these roundtables would be like and how you structure it?
Absolutely. So typically, we'll have a kind of, let's say the first 5 minutes is just as people are coming in, we start calling them out, being like, hey, thanks for joining. We'll open up the interactive presentation. We use an interactive presentation tool where people will sign in with their mobile devices, and they'll be able to vote. We'll be able to run polls, all kinds of things. So we'll get them immediately interacting in that first 5 minutes so that no time is wasted. We don't want to punish the people that are on time. So what happens sometimes is, the person will jump on time, and then the webinar kind of the webinar host maybe just waits for 5 minutes to let everyone in. And it's like, but you've just punished the people that have been on time. Well, I like to reward the people who have been on time by saying, hey, here's an interactive presentation. Let's get right into it. Let's start interacting. Let's start talking to each other, either via the chat or via the interactive presentation. So that's the first 5 minutes. Then, let's say a 20-minute block is usually where you introduce the expert. The expert could be in a workshop. The expert could be just giving a presentation. The expert could be demoing a feature. Or it could just be a nice conversation between 2 or 3 people. Whatever it is, you can change up the format each time and experiment what works best for your audience and for your business. Then I like to have breakout rooms. In the breakout rooms, you allow, let's say, 50 or 100 people to all go off and in groups of 3s or 4s, discuss a problem together. Remember, you control the conversation, so they could be discussing pains and problems that your business solves and priming them for a pitch that comes later, and also allows them to network with each other. So that's providing a lot of value. I like to do 2 to 3 breakout rooms of anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes per session. Sometimes the less you're talking and the more you allow your audience to talk, the more they're going to want to come back for the next event. So it's almost like you do less work and you actually get rewarded for it. And then at some point, you want the CTA, the call to action, to come in. So usually around the 40-minute mark, maybe between roundtables, you say, hey, book a call. Hey, come to this link. This is how we help. And this is where we convert. And then we close out usually with a Q&A and a bit of feedback on the last 5 minutes. So that's what it looks like. However, I will just say, every client is different. And with every client, based on the feedback we're getting, we're always adapting it for the next session.
So what kind of results do these sessions yield? For, like if someone's joining or hosting these roundtables, what do they get out of it?
So number one is they're able to have conversations with their target market. Okay, so that means that your sales team, I can put them in a room with the contacts that they want to be in a room with when they go into breakouts and have those conversations. So the number one thing is access, direct access to the people that you want to sell to. And the next most clear benefit is that from the CTA, the main CTA usually is to book a call. I can drive people to one-on-one individual calls directly that they're booking live on the roundtable, on the webinar, whatever you want to call it, on the workshop. They have a link, they're going directly and booking into a calendar with one of your sales reps. The second is, after the event, you can now use your team to follow up with, say, hey, we'd like to get feedback on the event to make some changes. That's another opportunity to have a one-on-one call and to move that prospect closer to the sale. So those are the benefits. The benefits is always more money, more revenue for your business. And it's also new people coming in as well. Every recurring event, you have new people coming in that maybe have never come before, and you're able to then repeat the process with them. So it could be new leads, old leads, clients. There's a way that you can use these interactive events strategically to make sure that you're having the right conversations with them and move them across the pipeline.
So why do you only focus on high ticket clients and investment firms?
Okay, so the reason is that for this particular service, it's mainly for businesses that have a strong educational component to it. So, for example, the sale, they really need to educate their market on why their solution is necessary. They need to educate their market onto the specific problems that they solve. So that's a key point. And that's often the case with high ticket services. Often that is coupled with long sales cycles as well, where, you know, depending on, you could have a multi-million-dollar deal that takes 2 years to close, depending on, especially like I have a client who works with data centers and telecom infrastructure. In his industry, he needs to make sure that he's top of mind, and there's a lot of thought leadership that goes into that. Yes, but even with the let's call high tech, even with someone who's selling, let's say 2 to 3K products, and maybe selling at more volume with shorter sales cycles of like a month to 2 months, even with those particular people, the reason why we focus on them is because they're really able to get that ROI from that individual high touch point, high sales. This is not a kind of automated sales process where I'm just running people through like an automated funnel and there's never a human in the loop. That's not really, the roundtable isn't really for that particular type of business. The roundtable is going to be like anywhere between 30 to 100 participants per roundtable. And we're trying to facilitate those conversations, peer-led conversations. It's not really appropriate for someone who's maybe just selling like $5 ebooks to run this kind of event. It's a much more, it's quite a heavy lift if you're just selling that like low ticket item.
Yeah, you're creating an environment where the buyers can feel confident in the services they're about to get involved in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with that said, what are some of the biggest challenges you see these companies facing in lead gen?
I mean, the biggest challenges are high customer acquisition costs. So it's super competitive out there. We're talking Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. I mean, incredibly expensive. It's just getting more and more and more saturated. The offers are getting more and more saturated as well. So we've got, just from like paid ads. We've got it becoming incredibly expensive. And we need to find ways, we need to find lead magnets that are effective and bring that cost down, that convert better. Then we have outbound. So what are the typical outbound channels? We've got cold email, we've got cold calling, and let's just add in Instagram and LinkedIn, more LinkedIn for these kind of clients, but also Instagram depending on the product. I mean, these channels are also saturated with everyone's constantly getting bombarded with people trying to reach out to them in their inbox.
Right.
So how do you stand out? You stand out by offering value. But again, everyone's trying to offer an ebook. Everyone's trying to, why not invite them to an event, a recurring event? So if they can't come this week or this month, they can come the next week or the next month. So yeah, those are the kind of issues, and I've kind of explained how recurring events helps with that. And then another issue, like I said, is that time-old issue of how do I keep my audience engaged in these longer sales cycles. So those are the two main things that I'm seeing right now.
So when you speaking on engagement, you ensure they're engaged or they find value during these sessions.
Sorry, Nick. Can you repeat that, because it actually cut out? Well,
My apologies. Yeah. So you spoke on engagement. So how do you ensure that these that your guests are engaged in these sessions or they find value?
So the way we do it is we find a pressing problem or a pressing issue that the target market is facing. That usually will be the topic that we base the discussion around. And then we'll have subject matter experts on the call to provide guidance, solutions, whatever it is. So the main
So if the topic was SEO's dead, you would get someone like Neil Patel to come in and explain the future of SEO.
You got it, exactly. So the topic is SEO is dead. How can we move forward? Or, strategies to deal with SEO in the age of AI. I mean, I'm just, whatever it is. And then we would have Neil Patel, guest speaker, come on, ask Neil questions, listen to Neil give his expert advice. That's the main way that we provide value. And then I mentioned it before, also peer-led discussion. It's not just the subject matter expert, but it's also everyone in the audience. We can crowdsource the intelligence, the collective intelligence of everyone on the call, and we can find solutions that way. This is how people like to solve problems. This is what we do as humans. We get together and then we discuss and we have conversations, and then we try to move forward from that. So it's very natural, and this is typically how people like to go about solving issues that they're facing.
So to close it off, let's say I'm a client and I want to get the complete roundtable package. What's included?
So we include all of the pre, during, and post-production. So what does that mean? That means that we all do all of the setup, the invites, all of the communications, the landing pages that you'll need, as well as the strategy of what we're going to be talking about, and providing the interactive slide deck and all of that. So that's all of the kind of the setup, the tech setup, and the communications. Then we actually host the roundtables for our clients. So it could be me, it could be my business partner. We've hosted many of these. We know exactly how to run them. So we host them and we invite you to talk, and the subject matter experts, the guest speakers to talk. And then post-production, we even take the roundtable, we can post it onto YouTube, the full clip. We can then take individual clips, like short form content, push that out across your media channels. We can repurpose as well into written content. So we handle all of that for you It's completely done for you. And we have regular strategy sessions depending on how frequent the roundtables are.
Well, that's awesome. Sounds like you built an impressive empire for yourself. And I'm looking forward to having you back on. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one.
Yes, sir. Talk soon.